In this video, we're going to explore the Classwork tab in a little more detail. So as in previous videos, we looked at the Stream, Classwork, People, and Marks tabs. We are now going to dive a wee bit deeper into the Classwork area, which is a space where you can share resources, tasks, gather information, gather assessment information, all in one nice, easy place. So the first thing you'll see from my classwork area is I've got mine organized into topics. So AI is a topic, apps is a topic, collaboration is a topic. This is a really easy way just to streamline the classwork area because as you use it over the course of a year, it can become filled with lots and lots of information, lots of assignments, lots of pieces of work, which if you can organize in a way that's easy for you, it saves a lot of time come the end of the year. So within the Classwork tab, you can see I've already organized my topics. These are just a range of them, but this big blue Create button gives us the option of how we want to share information or what we want from our learners. So it's broken down into a few sections: assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, and reuse post. And all of these do similar things, but in slightly different ways. So just to give you a bit of a summary of what all of these do, an assignment is something task orientated where you maybe want to share some resources, some links, some videos, but there's a task or an assignment that pupils need to complete and hand back in. So if you think about it in the traditional sense, it's where you could give an essay question, where you could give a handout where there's a range of questions that need to be completed. So you hand stuff out and you expect to get that stuff handed back in. So that is an assignment. It's a two-way system. A quiz assignment is something similar, but only the format of the assignment is through Google Forms. And Google Forms, you can create the assignment and to be self-marking. So a nice, easy way if you want to gather a little bit of quick assessment, you can do it in this format. So these two go hand in hand, but this can be any type of assessment at all, any type of task, whereas a quiz assignment is only through Google Forms. A question is simply to post a question on your stream where pupils can interact. There are some limitations with this. It can either be a short answer or it can be a multiple choice question. I often use this in my teaching practice as an exit ticket or a little plenary at the end of the day. As we move on, material. This differs from assignment in one key way. Material is giving information that you want pupils to access in their own time or in class, but you do not expect anything in return. So if you wanted to give them a slide deck of something you've taught previously, you can give them access to that. They can read it, but there's no expectation that there's any work to be handed in. So it's just resource material. In high schools, this is often for revision guides or revision notes that you may want to provide to your class. That's a nice, easy way to give it rather than printing and handing out hard copies. And the reuse post button is super, super useful because as you use Google Classroom more and more often, you will create posts or assignments or quiz assignments or questions or material, all of the four above, that are really successful and you want to reuse them maybe a year later, maybe 2 years later. Maybe you want to reuse them but slightly adjust it. You can reuse a post from any of your classrooms at any time and it will create the exact same, creating all of the materials for that pupil and an assignment task for that pupil individually. So it saves so much time when you come to reassign work further down the line. As I spoke about at the start, you can create topics. You can simply create these before you set up your Google Classroom. It's quite a dynamic aspect of Google Classroom where you can add them as you go along. You don't have to have all your topics set up in one go. You can have maybe a couple of main parts, but here is where you can add topics as well, and you can add assignments into topic areas if they're already stated, or you can create a new one. So all of these have similar layouts, but just for the purpose of this, we're just going to look at the assignment option. So we're going to create a new assignment. And how this is laid out is you need a title. So we're just going to call this test for the purpose of this. And within our instructions, this is really optional. It is optional, you don't have to have it, but it's optional as well of how you use this. I often, as a primary school teacher, I often use this as a space to put my learning intentions and my success criteria. And it was just to reinforce that what we're learning and what we're actually doing with a range of I can statements. You can also use the normal formatting options with bullet points, bold, italic, and underline. And also down here, you've got an option of lots and lots of attachments. So if we imagine that we're setting an assignment that we want some work back in, there may be a presentation that you want pupils to access to kind of recap on some of the information. There may be an answer sheet that you have on your Google Drive that you can attach as well. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to attach one document, because it's really important that when we attach a document, we have it set up in the right way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to scan down around here, and I am going to use this approved apps spreadsheet. So I'm just going to attach this just for the purpose of this video, because you can see that you've got options when you attach files from your Google Drive. There's 3 options to be exact. So students can only view the file, so you just want them to read it, you don't want them to edit it. Students can edit the file. If you select this option, that means that every student you share that with can collaborate on that file. Now, there's a time and a place for that. It may be that you have a master presentation that you want everyone to contribute to. But just to be aware, it will be one copy of the file that everyone is editing. And more traditionally, if you think about this, how you go to the printer on a Monday morning, you print out 30 copies, you hand a student a copy of each of the assignments or tasks, and you expect them to hand that copy back in. If you select make a copy for each student, that will give them their own individual copy of that document. They will be able to edit it, only them, and then they will be able to hand that back into you. So more commonly, this is the one that we use. This one in the middle is for collaboration, and this one is just view only. Okay, so we all have access to add different ranges of media. Like our Drive, our upload button is just for Word documents or PowerPoint presentations that we've saved to our server. You can create new documents from here. So if you had an answer sheet, you didn't have an answer sheet already created, you can create that answer sheet there. And equally, you can attach any YouTube videos or any useful links that you think that pupils might benefit from. So we've got the main body of our task already added with our files, our links, our videos, etc. What you want to do now is you scan over here, and you can see this is the classroom I'm posting it in. Happy? Yep, digital community. By default, like in one of our previous videos, it will assign this to all students. You can change that by clicking on all students, and then you can select and drop down which, or uncheck which students you don't want to receive this assignment. And you can add a points system as well for marking. So if you want it to be as a percentage, you would select 100. Equally, you can check this as unmarked. You can also add a due date, which students will get a notification to their Gmail accounts about when a due date is coming up. And as I said, if you've already pre-arranged your topics, you can select from them, or at this stage, you can just create a new topic. If it's the first assignment of a brand new topic, you can create the topic right in Google Classroom. The last thing, for assessment purposes, you can add rubrics. I'm going to be covering rubrics in a later video, so keep an eye out for that. But rubrics are a really easy way for students and staff to understand the assessment process and how a mark has become what they've been assigned. I hope that was useful. The last thing that I needed to say was you can assign this straight away, or nice and easy, you can schedule it or save the draft for later. That will allow you to pop in all of the content that you need, but maybe you're not quite there yet, so you just want to save the draft. Equally, you can choose a date for when it schedules. So when I was doing learning throughout the day, I would often have, maybe in my planning, I would be planning to do a digital assignment in the afternoon. I would just assign that for around lunchtime so that it was there available for my students when they came back after lunch. You can do all this in advance. You can do it on a Friday in preparation for all of your classes. It's really entirely up to you, or you can do it in the morning of and click assign, and it will be there when pupils come in. I hope that was useful. That was Google Classroom and a deep dive into assignments and how you can share resources and collaborate and communicate with pupils via Google Classroom.